Hello, welcome back. I said I'll kick things off here with a 9.5 video, kind of give you guys a little preview here of what is to, or what you guys are going to be seeing here. Now, as you guys can kind of see here, this looks like a tank that, more so than not, a very hated tank in the World of Tanks community. The M3 Lee. You would be correct, except this is called the Grant and not the Lee. This is the UK version, as seen by the little flag there. This is one of the new tanks introduced in 9.5 for the British, part of a new light medium line that works its way into the new tank destroyers. Now, I actually haven't been able to try this tank out yet. I was looking at the gun stats on it, and it actually has a somewhat decent guns for its tier. The gun I'm using on here is the 6-pounder. It's one of the second gun of the three right in the middle. I chose this one. It has less damage per shot, but it has higher penetration and faster reload. So the damage per minute is ultimately better on this gun than on the top tiered gun, which is the, I want to say the M1A1 75mm. Now, a lot of people hate this tank because it doesn't have a 360-degree turret, even though it's a medium. That just angers a lot of people for whatever reason. As you can see, I'm actually bouncing shots off of this light tank here, which at tier 3, that's understandable.
Enemy armor is damaged.
But so far, I really like this 6-pounder gun. It's working pretty decently well for me here. It has pretty good accuracy, I gotta say. If you play through the Lee, use the same battle tactics you would with the Lee. Play it more like a tank destroyer than a medium tank, just because it doesn't have a 360-degree turning gun. And the gun itself has a pretty good arc. I would say it's probably like a 30-degree arc or so, which that's still pretty good. You just got to be a little cautious when tanks are maneuvering around you. Now, the tanks prior to the Grant in the line here, we have the M2, which pretty much the UK's version of the M2 light tank. Nothing spectacular here. This gun, though, is pretty fast shooting. I would say decent or pretty good penetration for its tier. Or looking at 48 penetration for AP rounds. That's pretty decent at tier 2. Especially since the highest you'll be seeing in tiers in this tank would be tier 4. Accuracy is 0.47, so it's not the most accurate. But in the low tiers, you don't really have a whole lot of like pinpoint accurate guns anyway. Pretty good top speed, 58, traverse speed, 40. Same hull and turret armor all over. I mean, it's not really too important to focus on armor in the low tiers. Just because, I mean, pretty much anything can pen anything tier 3 and below. about 35 degrees per second for turret to reverse. That's pretty decent. 320 view range, 375 signal. That's with the best radio. Then from that you go on to the Stuart 1 through 4. Pretty much your typical Stuart tank. I went with the 2-pounder here, just because when you compare these, the 2-pounder is actually a lot better than the 37mm. Granted, the reload time varies, but it's just you have better damage, or slightly better damage. You have better penetration. You have 0.4 accuracy versus 0.41. Aiming time's 0.3 seconds longer, but I mean, let's be honest, when you're in a Stuart, you're probably not going to be sitting still for very long. Top speed of 45, traverse speed of 45 degrees. No, sorry, top speed of 58. 262 horsepower engine. Very fast traverse speed, turret traverse at 48 degrees per second. It's pretty fast. Then we got the Grant here. Let's compare that to the Lee. Do a little side-by-side comparison here. So, the Grant has actually 10 more hit points, which those 10 hit points can make a difference. It's slightly faster, a little bit slower to turn. Whole armor is the same. The standard shell damage is the same. Or rather, the hull armor is the same. Shell damage is a little bit less, but once again, that's because I'm using the 6-pounder gun, which we'll compare that with the... Okay, it was the M3 gun. That gun has higher damage, but the penetration is less. Plus, it shoots a little bit slower on average than the 6-pounder. 6-pounder's at 0.42 accuracy, M3's at 0.41, so it's slightly more accurate than the 6-pounder. And slightly faster in terms of aiming speed. But I feel like a lot of people are going to go with the 6-pounder gun on this versus the M3, just because you got that higher penetration and the higher shooting rate, or the faster shooting rate. It's kind of interesting that the Grant has a worse engine than the Lee, but yet its top speed is a little bit faster. It's kind of interesting. But looking at the weight load, the Grant is actually a little bit lighter than the medium, or than the Lee. Rate of fire, that's 20 rounds per minute with the M3 gun. With the 6-pounder, it's 26. Gun traverse is the same. View range is actually better on the Grant, but the radio is worse. The signal range is actually half than what the Lee has. Which means the Lee, you can actually sit back always like a tank destroyer would, and you can have your radio be able to still pick up your teammates. With the Grant, you're probably not going to be able to do that to the same extent. You're probably going to have to be pretty much right up there with your teammates, or a little bit behind. Not as far behind as the Lee could be. From the Grant, we move into the Sherman 3. Pretty much your same thing that you'd find on the regular M4 Sherman. Uses the same guns as the Sherman, except it has a couple 6-pounder guns in there, which when you get up to the M1A1 76mm, there's no point to using the 6-pounders. I mean, I can see using the 6-pounder MK5 here to get these two guns unlocked, but that's really about it. 0.42 accuracy on the 6-pounder Mark V, now on the M3, 0.46. And I do have the 105 equipped on here, just because it's another Sherman that uses the 105, and that is probably a gun that's used more on the Sherman than the 76mm, at least from what I've seen. From the Sherman 3, we go into a tank that a lot of people have been waiting to see get into this game for a long time, and that is the Sherman Firefly. I've played a few matches in this guy already, and overall, I really like how the tank performs. It kind of reminds me more of the Jumbo Sherman than the Easy 8 in terms of maneuverability and that kind of thing. But the hull armor it's not the best. It's the same exact hull armor as on the Sherman 3. Turret armor is better in the front, but the sides and rear suffers a little bit. On this gun though, you get a pretty awesome 17-pounder gun though. I wouldn't trust the top gun here, because this is the same one that's on the Black Prince, the Caernarvon, and the Centurion Mark 1. Those are tier 7 and 8 tanks. I doubt they're gonna keep this gun on the Sherman Firefly. If they do, then that's gonna be ridiculous. 0.38 accuracy. It's not the most accurate, but it's still pretty decent. This thing can put off rounds pretty much every 5 seconds if you have a well-trained crew. And this thing just shoots really fast. And I mean, who can argue having a gun with 171 millimeters of penetration at tier 6? That's pretty good, especially since you can see up to tier 8. We'll see if we can jump into a battle with the Sherman Firefly here. See if I can give it some justice. Ooh, good, we're even on a new map. Well, not really so much new as a fresh coat of painting. For all the World of Tanks veterans up, just looking at the map, you probably know what this is. Which this is another awesome new feature they have in World of Tanks. Once the match starts, that is. But you can actually blow up the map even more. And they even have a line now that shows where you're pointing on the map. Now, I could have sworn I read in the notes too that they were also going to have last known positions of tanks show up on the minimap as well. And I can't seem to get the minimap to blow up even more. Sad. Could have sworn I got it to make it larger. But either way, you have a nice handy line there that shows you where you're pointing at on the map. Some very nice mini-map updates. But back to this map. This is Ruinberg with a nice fresh coat of paint. It's been winterified. The other version has actually been taken out of rotation, so you're pretty much going to be seeing this map for as far as Ruinberg's concerned. That was a pointless shot I took there.
Enemy armor is hit.
Alright, I mean, Yeah, it's still. I'm still a little. Still getting woken up here.
Got him!
Gotta love the accuracy of this gun. Alright. So we got a Panzer IV-H and another Firefly up there. Firefly was just taken out by KV-2 no less. Got a Jackson up there. And a Churchill 7. If you have a lot of special effects in your graphic settings, then this is gonna look very nice for you guys. Because there's actually supposed to be a bunch of fog on the map here. But since I can't really run all the fancy graphics, and I can run good textures and all that, but as far as special effects go, I'm pretty limited on that.
We've damaged them.
Fortunately, the gun depression isn't. I mean, it's better than a lot of British tanks, but I mean, it's still not quite as good as some of the regular Shermans and such.
Enemy armor is hit.
And that Churchill 7 is using the derp gun. Love it. And the reason why I say this thing moves like an E2 is because it really doesn't get gone all that fast. Pretty much stays around this speed, which is about 36 kilometers per hour on flat ground. Now I can probably get going faster if I went down a steep hill or something. But overall, it's still a pretty decent medium. If you're a fan of the Sherman tanks, then you're probably going to want to get your hands on both of these. I know I actually plan on keeping both of these Shermans. Alright, now we get into the tank destroyers. This is the new Tier 5 tank destroyer in the British line. This is pretty much a repurposed Valentine, which, if you guys know anything about the Valentine, that it is slow. It is so slow. It is slower than a Matilda. That's how slow it is. This thing is even slower. This thing goes top speed of 12 kilometers per hour. Main reason for that? Well, this is the front of the tank, and this is the back. Why they did it that way, I have no idea. But they are British. They do what they want. The guns on this, you start off with a 6-pounder, similar to what we had on the Grant, it looks like. Better penetration though, and better overall reload speed. Accuracy is 0.37 with aiming time of 1.9. Then we go into the 17-pounder Mark II, which was also on the Sherman Firefly. And then we have the Mark VII with 0.36 accuracy and 2.3 aiming time. So overall, this thing shoots pretty fast. From this, we move into the Achilles, which this is another tank that will look really familiar to you guys. This is the Wolverine. just with a UK paint. A UK paint job. This thing also uses the 17 pounder Mark 7 and uses its stock gun as a 3-inch AT gun. .33 accuracy, so that's actually pretty good accuracy wise. 2.3 aiming time. So that actually isn't that bad of a stock gun. From that, we move into the Challenger, which this is also what the Sherman Firefly goes into. Now I can't remember if this was based off of the Comets chassis or the Cromwell's chassis. I think it might be the Comets. I know the Charioteer is definitely based off of the Comet. But, what a surprise. This also uses the 17 pounder Mark 7. .33 accuracy, 1.7 aim time. They really like using their 17 pounders in this update. Next up we have the Charioteer. Now for you guys that have gone through the British line, that gun looks familiar. That is indeed the 105 that we see off of the Tier 10 British tanks. Slightly different variation of it, but pretty much the same gun. .35 accuracy, 2.4 aiming time. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for AT gun. Just look at that penetration and damage compared to the 20 pounder. And that's just like a difference between night and day. Only reason why I see people sticking with the 20 pounder is if they just want a faster firing rate. But usually you don't have people that do that too often. Or run into people like that too often. And then we go into the Conway. This big bad boy. This looks like it uses the, I think it was the Centurion's body. It has some interesting. These new AT or these new tank destroyers look pretty interesting from Tier 7 on. Kind of, I don't know, they just intrigue me. Average penetration of 259 and 400 for AP rounds, 326 for APCR. Holy crap. That is a lot of penetration. That is a lot of pinning power. Not a whole lot of tanks are going to be able to hold up against APCR rounds when you're shooting slugs like that at them. .32 accuracy, so pretty good accuracy. 1.9 second aiming time. That's a pretty good aiming time. At least compared to the previous tanks, where they're like 2 seconds or 3 seconds. And then from this, we get into the huge tank destroyer. I've heard somebody nickname it already, and I totally agree with this nickname. The Death Star 2. This thing is pretty interesting, because it pretty much has the same kind of gun you have on the FV-183, the quote-unquote Death Star of the game. Average penetration for AP rounds, 310, with 1150 average damage. For heat rounds, we're looking at 230 penetration, or I guess that is HE, and 1750 average damage. This thing will really ruin your day. .38 accuracy and a 3 second aiming time. This tank is actually pretty maneuverable. We'll hop into a battle here in L. How maneuverable this thing is. It's not the fastest. It's not going to be the fastest tank out there, but compared to the 183, it's a lot more maneuverable. Just kind of a little side note, I don't know why, but I just find it hilarious that they have a full-size door on the back of the turret. I don't know why, I just find that hilarious.
Let's go.
Alright. So, yeah, we're actually keeping pace here with, so far, with the STB one here and the Leopard one. Alright. Need to find a nice good spot here to shoot from. Got one artillery in the match. Tier 8. We'll set position up here for now. Though it doesn't look like we're gonna have a whole lot of people coming through the middle. So we're gonna move around to the northern side there. Darn, I thought this thing was actually gonna be able to, it's gonna be tall enough to actually be able to shoot over that. Looked like it was going to be able to, but looks can be deceiving. This thing is a pretty wide firing angle. It almost looks like a 45-degree turning radius on the turret, which is pretty awesome for a tank destroyer. See if I can get into some high ground here without getting torn up. When this gun hits, it hits hard. It wouldn't be the Death Star if it didn't hit hard. Darn. Shell went low. And now I'm spotted. Though I was probably spotted beforehand anyway. Got another 10 seconds, reload. Get nice and zoomed in here. Not a very good target there. Oh, he moved out. How nice. Or boom!
Enemy
He's
armor
gone.
destroyed.
The reload time on this thing is just like the KV-2. So, you definitely want to be patient with this tank. So if you're one that likes to have high rates of fire, then this probably won't be the tank for you. Probably going to want to try to find a different tank. Or just stick with the tier 9 one and go with the 20 pounder, type B. That might be more to your liking. But this thing, gun on it, it's about a 30-second. That's with a gun rammer and ventilation to boost my skill. So my crew's operating at about 80% efficiency right now. And with the gun rammer, it's just about 29 seconds flat. This thing actually is moving about as fast as the Sherman Firefly does, which is pretty good. You can at least get up into the firefight. Now, if I can get one shut in on that waffle tractor up there, that WTE 100, he's gonna be a dead son of a gun. But he just pulled back into some buildings. However, boom, got him. When this gun is zoomed in all the way, it actually does deliver pretty good. That is the case with most guns. Alright, we got an FV-183 up there. We got a blue Moz, because test server logic. I'm sure somebody touched him and he got all angry at the person, so he decided to kill him. That or somebody took his kill. I really do like how this tank destroyer performs. I mean, I've tested out others on the test servers before. That splash damage. Yeah. Alright, we still got an FV-183 up here. Still got another 12 seconds before the reload is up. Yeah, I'm gonna let them kill him. My splash damage will probably kill both of them. So let's do some arty hunting. Darn it, you went down that way. Well, that might be a... Nope. The Moz got him. Oh well. Oh yes, that's right. There's also personal missions now in this, in 9.5, which, gotta say, are pretty sweet. You have 4 campaigns that you can do, which each give you a tank for completing 20 of the missions. First one is a Tier 5 tank destroyer, the Stug 4. Next one is a Tier 7 tank destroyer, T-28. Then you get a Tier 9 medium tank, T-54A. And last but not least, a Tier 10 heavy tank, Object 260. And these are pretty sweet missions because they pretty much teach you the proper way of using the class of tank, which is pretty neat. I mean, they give you awesome rewards for playing correctly in your tanks, and it's very nice because it gives you something to actually work towards besides just grinding through your tanks. You actually have these little parameters that you can actually try to go for while you're going from battle to battle. which I just earned $50,000. And I fulfilled the secondary condition, so I got 75,000 as well, or another 25,000. But yeah, that's the personal missions there. Pretty interesting. I think a lot of people will enjoy going through those. But that's pretty much all of the new tanks here that they've involved. So the British got some nice love here in this update. Let's see. I'll show you guys the other two maps here. Mittengrad, this is a new map for low tier tanks. This is actually pretty interesting. There's not a whole lot going on in this map, but it's tailored strictly for tiers 1 through 4 at max, I believe. And it's just nice little urban fighting. Both teams start on sides of a hill that you just go charging right down into there, which I think is kind of funny. So if you're driving an AMX 40, you'll actually be able to get into the battle pretty quickly, which is kind of nice. So that's another one of the new maps they introduced. Let's see, where is the other one? Yeah, Winterberg, that's Ruinberg just with a snow coating. Let's see. Ah, here we go. Ghost Town. This one definitely has... You can't argue about it being unbalanced, because they purposely made this map symmetrical. It is I haven't played on this map yet, but pretty much it looks like you're gonna have some intense urban warfare going on in here with a lot of different routes that you can take to outflank tanks, which will be pretty nice, so that pretty much you're not going to be having too many situations where somebody's sitting on the corner of a road and blocking out that entire side of the map, because they're either wall scraping or side scraping so well, or just hull down and you can't get past them. There's a bunch of other things that, like, little detail work that they've done in 9.5. If you guys want to see the complete list of all the changes and such, then definitely go onto their website and look up 9.5. See all the different changes they have. I just kind of wanted to showcase you guys the the new tanks that they have here, and look at the maps a little bit, which you guys actually got to see Winterberg in action. Got to see the Sherman Firefly in action, the Grant in action, and the Death Star 2. That's just an easier thing to say than FV 4005 Stage 2. That's just a mouthful to say. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this little preview of 9.5. Keep your eyes out for the next video. Yeah. If you guys have any other questions about 9.5 or any of that, leave a comment below. If you guys think I forgot to mention something, then definitely leave a comment below so other people who are watching will know what I left out uh, about the things that I did talk about. If you guys liked what I went over here, leave a like on the video. If you think somebody could benefit from seeing this, or if you want to share, well, you can share the video with friends and such. If you definitely look through my previous videos of World of Tanks that I've done a whole lot of them. That's probably one of the things I do most here on the channel is World of Tanks. Definitely look through those. You can see all the different things that I've gone over in the past. So, I'll hopefully see you guys next time around. Sergeant Gustav signing off for now.